you have to hit okay. Anyway.
Just turn me on, turn me up, and turn me loose.
And we're live. Hello, everybody. Everybody watching, all the mods, thank you for being here. Everybody in chat, how's it going? Squirrel House, what's up?
Today's his anniversary, him and Wanda's. And I guess today's Kevin's birthday. Oh, I know it is. I seen it on Facebook.
I just saw that. Yeah, happy birthday, Kevin.
Yep. Yeah, today would have been Alan's birthday too. He would have been 57.
Happy birthday in heaven. Well, anyway, let's not start out the show too excitingly there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was right in the middle of typing and telling the mods thanks for being here, and you told them before I could get it out. So I was kind of.
Misty's been sick, and she won't go.
I apologize. Listen, I put the date on the thing wrong. I apologize. That was all me. I was kind of out of it yesterday. I don't know. I slept all day. Yesterday was our anniversary, and I spent it sleeping and sick.
I think that was just an excuse.
We still never did figure out if JR got a Purple Heart or a Bronze Star yesterday.
Did she pay JR for
JR done. I stayed up long enough to watch Spencer last night. And then as soon as it was done, I went back to bed and woke up about, I guess it's probably 11 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
And I don't even know how it's possible. But how in the world do you lose 7 pounds overnight? Not doing anything different, not anything. 7 pounds. 3 pounds the day before and 7 pounds yesterday.
Little people snuck in.
I've been really weird lately.
Yeah, little people snuck in and took it.
All right.
Well,
I don't know about it.
Y'all, the guy we have on today, I've been talking to him for a couple months. A friend of a friend put me in touch with him. And I'm just going to let him speak for himself, but his name is Rick, and he can tell you all about himself. And for those of you that like the whole Dogman thing, this show's for you. There you go. Rick?
How you doing, Rick?
Hey, Rick.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show. This is definitely good. Let me tell, for everybody watching, this is going to go off rails for 2 reasons. Number one, because it's mostly about Dogman. Number 2 is because Rick is a really nice guy, but he likes to give me shit about the Dogman thing. And he's going to get going early, and this will just all go to hell. But anyway, Rick, take it away. How'd you get into this crap?
It was well before the passing of Linda Godfrey. I remember just looking at cryptids on social media, and I came across Dogman. And I remember emailing Linda asking about information about the Dogman.
And you're talking about Linda Godfrey that wrote the book, The Beast of Bray Road.
Yes, correct. And we would go back and forth through emails, and I would give her my theories, and I always thought it was just a wolf that learned how to walk on two legs because of an injury or something like that. And, she'd always tell me, no, but people are reporting, actual fingers and left and right. And we went back and forth. At the time, I used to live in the islands. So obviously in the islands, there is no major cryptids like Bigfoot or Dogman. So the only way I was able to ever, let's say, do research was simply through emailing her and social media. That was it.
You got to tell the people where you lived.
Oh, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I was born in Cleveland. From Cleveland, I moved to Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico, back to Cleveland for open heart surgery. Then I was raised in Springfield, Massachusetts. Then from Springfield, Massachusetts, I moved back down to Puerto Rico. Then I moved to Wisconsin. That's where things got even more interesting. Obviously, in Wisconsin, everybody knows the Beast of Bray Road. Obviously, Linda Godfrey was from Wisconsin. So we got to talk even more. She would give me certain areas that Dogman was sighted at. But again, my thoughts were this is just a coyote or a wolf that learned how to walk on two legs because of an injury. That's how I pretty much started. Years later, things kind of died off. Like I said, I would speak to her once in a while, but nothing major. I wasn't really out in the field doing much research. In the second property that I rented in Wisconsin, one day I was taking out my dog. My dog walks towards the front of the property. The property was like 3 acres in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. You have a little road in the middle, and there was cornfields on both sides, well, all 3 sides of the property and across from the road. And I remember it was one evening, I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. What I heard that night was, to best describe it, was a howl extremely similar to the American Werewolf in London. It was out in the distance. I used to live next to the Horicon Marsh, so it was in that direction. And I knew that wasn't normal, because it wasn't, if anybody has seen American Werewolf in London, that particular howl is definitely doesn't sound like anything any wildlife would sound like. I went inside. I mean, took my dog back inside. I kind of went back to Linda Godfrey. I tried to ask other researchers. That's when I really went into like the social media part, joining groups to see what type of information I can get on behavior and all of those stuff. And obviously I got a roadblock. Many people were scared of it. Many people were, had no basic information when it came to behavioral, when it came to Dogman whatsoever. And most of it was, a belief system based on legends and folklore. I think maybe a year, 6 months to a year passed by. And then things got very interesting in the property, because then we found out we didn't have 1, we didn't have 2, we had 5. And the same, it was, so we were the same, another eyewitness that spotted the same clan in the Horicon Marsh. Their description of the 2 main ones was the same description that we had on our property. And one of the descriptions, it was a black one, and it had a white stripe that went from the back of both ears and it tapered to the chest. So we kind of knew that these were the same ones that other couple saw in the Horicon Marsh. Probably months, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months in that same year, I ended up connecting with another eyewitness from Illinois, and without ever have previously talked to him, described my Dogman, he described to Dogman with the same coloration as the two that were on my property. So we end up having 3 eyewitnesses kind of visually having contact with the same 2, starting from Illinois, where I live, and then the Horicon Marsh. And those 5 were the ones that were in our property. For the whole year, they normally would come in, I'd say probably later in the weekend, on a Friday, then probably on Sunday you'd see them again. Because of the scenarios there, I had my son was about 6 months old, so I had to learn quickly what aggravated them, what they didn't like, what they liked. I remember telling my wife, once the sun goes down, do not go outside. So she would always bring in the dogs early, before the sun went down. And we had, like I said, we had different experiences in that property, both me and the next door neighbor. Our house was like a duplex, side by side. So my neighbor lived on one side and I lived on the other side. And we both had situations, experiences on that property for that whole year, like left and right. It was like no joke. At nighttime, you'd have them coming close towards us while staying in the cornfields. We had rock throwing. Remember one day we were out doing a little bonfire, and they would start throwing rocks at us. The constant watching of us. That's when I physically learned that they did not quite like flames, which that helped me in what to take into the field later on. And then obviously later on, I met up with a different eyewitness, which I eventually went to his house. And then he mentioned also about fire, which corroborated with what I was experiencing back in Wisconsin. He's from a different state. I think in his house was the first time that I saw an extremely tall dog man with blue eyes. That thing was tall. Which he spooked me because I was in my car looking for something. He comes from behind, so it's pitch black, it's countryside, so he spooked me. And I think the first question I asked him was, "Hey, who has blue eyes?" Because he had named the ones that were there, so hence why I asked him, which one has blue eyes. So he named the one that had blue eyes, and sure enough, I said, well, and if that's the case, he was just there and he walked that way. And throughout the years, I just went different states. I didn't stay in Wisconsin. I collected data. I went into the field. I put that data to the test. Sometimes I was good, and sometimes not so good. Sometimes I was there all day, and sometimes I had to go back to the car. But collecting data from eyewitnesses that I talked to personally, putting it into practice in the field, helped me collect the information that I wanted when I first came into social media, which was the behavioral aspects. Because back then, my thought was trying to stay safe while living in this property. And then as time passed by, I began to help other eyewitnesses do the exact same thing. I began to help eyewitnesses, I'll use the word coexist in a peaceful manner, throughout the U.S. and foreign countries as well, because I had 2 cases from foreign countries, where they had issues with Dogman and tweaking some things. I'll use the word, the aggression stopped. And later on, if you want me to go on into one of those cases, I can definitely hit that.
Well, yeah, but first, slow the hell down. Go back to the first time you laid eyes on one of these, or the situations around it.
So the first time it began with shadows. So it was back in Wisconsin, the property. Um, I went outside. So my wife would buy those 42 bottles from Walmart, the water bottles, and so we had probably two of those in the car. And I went to the car to pick them up, and I noticed that something was walking towards me. Um, in the beginning, I thought it was one of the stray cats that lived there, but that stray cat was really like wild. It wasn't a cat that would just come up to you. So that kind of got me off because it was, walking towards me. So I had a headlamp on, and I tried kind of walking towards it, and it walked backwards, and every time I turned around, it would walk back towards me. And at one point, I said, screw this. I walked straight towards it, and it walked backwards while staring at me. Then when it reached the tree, it stood. The eye shine went up, which what I presume was that it stood up, and it climbed the tree like if it was a young black bear going up a tree. And that thing went up the tree. It broke some branches, and then it just stayed on top, and it looked at me. So I went back. I got the case of water inside. I came back. When I came back, it was gone. Again, I did not see besides shadows, but the following weekend, again, I was out with the dogs, having them use the bathroom and whatnot. I had my headlamp again, and I heard some movement towards my left. Now, on my left side, there was some grapevines on some bushes, and within that row of vines and bushes, there was a gap. And slowly, through my headlamp, I saw. I'm going to describe it the hunchback of Notre Dame. Something hunched over between that gap, and I'm staring at it, and it's not looking at me. It's all I see is the hump, and it squatted down, looking straight, straight where it was walking, but it wasn't looking at me. And so I assumed it was what was there the day before, except now I'm looking at this hunch. It's probably slightly taller than I am. And I don't know why. Don't ask me why I did this, because this is stuff that you do and you don't know why you did it. I started whimpering like a puppy, trying to get the attention of an adult dog. And the minute I did that, it turned its head towards me. So now I'm seeing eye shine, and it cocked its head to the side. I went back home. I came back because again, curiosity kills the cat. Except I'm not dead yet, so I came back. By then, all I was able to hear was movement on the opposite side of the bushes, but I couldn't see nothing else. By then, that was my first outline visual of okay, there's something here, and this is not definitely a Bigfoot. Um, the confirmation to what I was actually seeing came from my neighbor,
Thank you, Gary.
because my neighbor, he woke up. He'd go up to work probably at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he'd wake up at he would come out of his house at 2:30 the day that the trash came out, and he would put the trash on his pickup, drive to the front of the road, let out his trash, and drive off. But this day he took out his trash, put it on the curve, and as he's putting it on the curve, he noticed that his truck headlights are flickering. So he's trying to figure out, mentally while he's putting the trash down, what's making the front of the headlights flicker. And he turns around, he starts walking towards the front of the pickup truck. And when he gets to the corner of the pickup truck, he sees a dog man squatted down, looking at him. And it was the same one, the black one with the white stripes. He gets into his pickup truck and drives off. In the afternoon, that day I didn't work. Back then I used to be a correctional officer, so we would have 4 days in a row when we wouldn't work. And some days we would not work Thursday, not Friday, then not work Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But that day was a Thursday, which was the trash day. And so he comes in, I'm in the back, with the hose, water hose, whatever. And he comes back there like if he's a kid who just got a big surprise. And he's calling my name repeatedly, and he's beginning to try to explain to me what he saw that morning. And, and he begins to explain what he saw because slightly in front of his headlights. That's when we kind of realized, okay, we have a dogman on the property. And at first we thought we had one. As time progressed, we then realized, okay, we don't have one, we got 5. The day that I knew we had 5, so my ex burnt the kitchen. So I was remodeling the floor, the vinyl floor, taking out some of the cabinets that got burnt. And I don't know, maybe 11:30 at nighttime, I was looking for my utility knife, and so my ex goes, I think it's inside the cabinet that you just put outside. Now in the back of the house, there is no spotlight. The only light that you have is from inside the kitchen that clears off, and you can see somewhat on the backside. And the cabinet was next to the house, just on the probably 2 feet away from the sliding door. I open the sliding door, walk out there, and I get this sense of dread, a high sense of dread. And some of you might understand this when you're out in the woods and you feel like you're being watched, and the sense of you're being watched. And that's what I felt. So I began to slowly stand up, and in front of me, I see a silhouette coming towards me. And I see the silhouette coming towards me, and by then I kind of realized, okay, this is one of the things that we were seeing. But I stayed still. But again, your senses, your mind says behind you, there's one behind you. Turn around. And sure enough, when I turn around at the other end of the duplex, there's another one where you can see his shoulder and his head looking at me. So now my back is to the house. I'm trying to pinpoint, not pinpoint, but see the one on my left, see the one on my right. And now I have 3 other silhouettes coming in from the opposite direction, from the front of me, from the cornfield. And this feeling is strong. And I remember during that point in time, and again, don't ask me why you do this, because this is stuff that you do. Later on, you probably think it's stupid after you do them. But I remember that I didn't want to scream or call for my ex because I had a child inside. And obviously, you're not going to defend yourself with a utility knife. I mean, yeah, that's what it was, a utility knife. But I remember saying, back off, this is my house. And I said it probably 2 or 3 times. And for some apparent reason, when I said that, my mind, my body, my energy, whatever you want to call it, kind of changed, shifted from screw it, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen. And they just stopped. They kind of just stopped and slowly backed off. Which to me, that was a learning curve, because then in my brain was, well, wait a minute, if I just act like I'm in control of myself and not act scared and quote, be brave, these things just stop. So I put that in the back of my mind. And again, those were the 2 for me. 1 for my neighbor. Obviously, after that, we've had others. Them watching the tall grass. One day we were doing started a bonfire early because of the mosquitoes, because we live close to the marsh. So during spring, summertime, the mosquitoes are abundant. So we started a small bonfire, and it was, the mosquitoes were too much. So I grabbed the bucket of water, threw it on the fire, and as soon as I threw it in the fire, when you throw water on fire on something hot, you have your, your smoke. Um, and the minute that happened, this thing rose up from the grass. And it was several yards, down the yard, but it popped up. You see this thing, and this thing was looking like it was freaked the hell out. It was looking left and right, looking at us left and right. And the more water you poured on it, the more this thing was just freaking out. And we're looking at it, it's looking at us. All of a sudden, it ran. And it ran on fours, then on two, then on fours, until it got to, so where we live, there's a trail, um, Wild Goose Trail, I think it is. It leads into the Horicon Marsh from where we were living. And it got to the trail now. There's already bushes there, so we lost it, obviously, from where we were at. So I grabbed the flashlight. Me and my neighbor went down the road towards that trail. But when we got to the trail, you know, your smart side tells you, hey, listen, there's too many bushes. You can't see if this thing is right next to you or not. So we got off the trail, started walking home, and we're talking back and forth. And so he tells me, did you hear that? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear nothing. He goes, dude, I keep hearing it's behind us. But I'm not hearing nothing. We would turn around, and I wasn't seeing nothing. We got home, and so I'm rolling up the water hose and stuff like that from one side, and I'm talking to him. He's on the other side, but I'm yelling back and forth to him, just talking. And this thing runs from the culvert that was on one side of the road, runs, crosses the road, enters the property, and hugs the tree while looking at me. So all you were able to see was a quarter of his face, one eye, and that part of the face. That was it. Um, and it just stared at me. And I tried calling my neighbor, but quote, I was already kind of yelling at him back and forth because he was a bit far off. So me raising my voice at him really didn't arouse him to come faster. And this thing stared at me for a second. And the moment in time that I took my eye off of it to go and yell at my neighbor to get over here, he's right there. This thing was gone. It just vanished. Um, and those were the first instances that I could say visually I was able to see a dog man and experience what a dog man is visually. And man, was I wrong about Linda Godfrey when it comes to me thinking it was an upright, you know, wolf or something that had learned to walk on two legs.
Hold on. So you're outside getting water with the headlight on. You see something, then you try to go towards it. It backs up. Then you see something through an opening in the bushes, and you do dog whimpering sounds, trying to engage it, even though you can tell it's big, and you run inside whenever you know it's big. Then you come back out again. Then the next time you go to get your utility knife and you rough talk them as they're coming in to eat you, and then you chase after one on a trail into the wood. Have you ever been psychologically evaluated, Rick?
Well, when I went to when I became a correctional officer, they did, but I don't know if that was accurate or not.
I think they missed something.
If you look at my TikTok, it says my last words will be shit that didn't work.
So describe, because everybody's going to want to ask, give us your best description of one of them. Like, go over all the details like you and I have talked about on the phone.
So appearance wise, I think more the hunchback that people call, there is a hunchback, right? But it's more of a mane. The hair is just abundant on the back. If you want the best description, try to combine an ape with a wolf. So their fingers are like squirrel hands. You notice squirrel hands. It's probably the best description, and I'm pretty sure who's ever out there and seen them would probably tell you the same thing. So it's like squirrel hands. The thumb is more up than your typical hand. For the most part, the thumb is not a human hand, and their hand is not the same.
Like a
They're,
raccoon.
no, so imagine a squirrel, except their thumb is higher up.
So their
Does that make
knuckles
sense?
are they're really knuckly, like
Oh yeah, that yes, just like a squirrel.
okay.
When they walk, their front, and something me and Spencer talked. Their front, or I'll use the word, their hands aren't splayed out all the time. They're kind of tucked in. So unless they're actually moving in a particular direction or doing something, you might not see fingers on the ground every single time. You'll see just a splayed cat-like roundish paw on the ground. And because their thumb is higher up versus right, on the actual paw, unless it's moving in a particular direction, like running in a bank right or running in a bank left, that thumb isn't going to hit the ground. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's not like a bear. They're not all there. That thumb is higher up. The muzzle is wide. Ears, I've seen ears that look like a freaking, Belgian Malinois, large and tall, to fox-like, short and kind of rounded. They're from the kneecap to the thighs are very muscular, so they're not in that aspect that you're not seeing a wolf or your average dog, right? That part from the kneecap back to their upper thigh, it's not like looking at a dog. It's not thin. It's not. It's built more like I'll say ape/human. But you'll see a quad muscle. Um, and again, depending on the age as well, you'll see more muscle than others. Younger ones tend to have bigger hands, bigger paws, and a bigger head than their body, so they look unsynchronized. Just the way you would see a large breed dog, like a Mastiff or a Rottweiler, where have bigger paws, a bigger head, and a scrawny little body. As they age, they tend to like bigger dogs. Heads tend to kind of grow bigger, right? And they get heavier, not taller, but heavier. Just like a Mastiff would get. If you've seen a Mastiff at 2 years old and you see a Mastiff at 6, he's going to be heavier, not taller, just heavier, without actually gaining more weight. It's
Yeah,
just
they fill out with age.
right, right. And that can be confusing to some eyewitnesses because obviously, if you see a 7-8 foot tall dog man with a massive head and massive hands, you might automatically begin to look at certain descriptions that people call like the soldier type or stuff like that. When in reality, you're probably just looking at a young one that his head proportion is bigger than, let's say, a fully grown one. Tail wise, a lot of them are bushy. The ones in Wisconsin that we saw were kind of more bushier, shorter, bushier. Not short, but not long. So if you look at a hawk, the way the dog does, so when for those who have dogs, the tail normally drops or is the length of a hawk's or that bent backwards part, right? Well, most of them have a tail that doesn't reach the hawk's. It's just kind of slightly before the hawk's. Color wise, they can be anywhere in the spectrum. They'll have larger cheek muscles, so they're like their jaw muscles are larger. Teeth wise, forget that. It's like you're watching a freaking tiger, and tigers have very large canines, right? So when you see a dog man grinning or whatever, or you see the teeth, you're not looking at a wolf. You're looking at something a lot larger. Muzzles are wider. Those can also vary. in length. For the most part, the ones that I've seen tend to have a longer muzzle, just wide. Um, the younger ones, again, based on my experience, the younger ones, if I see blue eyes shine, automatically I'm going to assume it's a younger dogman, just because of the blue eye shine. Um,
So why do you think that though? Why do you think it's because they're younger that their eyes are blue? You think it's because, I mean, I know this is stupid, but maybe because they've not hit puberty, do their eyes change? I mean,
so
sorry.
we're talking about eye shine, right?
Yeah.
So even if you look at a younger puppy, right, and later on we'll talk about if I think Dogman is quote dog man versus something else. But if you look at puppies, a lot of pups, when you shine a light on them, they tend to have this bluish haze to them.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Okay. I
age,
see what you're
maybe it's
saying.
maybe it's age, maybe it's because they're healthier, you know, versus an older one that maybe has, some disease or something attached to it. I don't know. It's just the ones that I've seen with blue eyes tend to be younger ones. So
Yeah.
hence why when I go in the field and I see a dogman with blue eyes, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be one that's, at his prime that has blue eyes. It's just when I go out in the field, if I see a younger one, it tends to have blue eyes. Um,
Blue
and I
eyes or blue eyes shine?
blue eye shine, blue eye shine, and I have a blue eye shiner in my house. Um, and he acts like an immature dogman that he'll kind of test out the waters. And if you call his bluff out, he kind of stops, goes back into the wood line. Like he'll never do anything at 100%. It's always more like, what can I get away with? Versus the ones that don't have blue eye shine. Like when they come in, they come in. they're, they're not. They're gonna call your bluff out every single time, right? And those are the ones that your brain goes, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going inside. Because they will literally come in, circle around you towards your side, and just like stand there. And you hear them there, and nothing you do will make that thing move its position. Versus, for instance, if I'm one thing that I realized just the other day that I began to ask other people, that I know. So I have a cattle dog, and the cattle dog likes to play. Well, he likes to play fetch. Period. So there was a white 5-gallon bucket. The cover on it, I couldn't find a tennis ball, so I took the cover off and I threw it. And the minute I threw that thing, that white thing was flying through the air. You can tell the younger one, the blue eye shiner, popped up, and he's going like a puppy on prey drive, trying to figure out what is this thing that's flying around. So he comes up from the ridge, goes down the property into the tree line, looks at me, and as I'm playing with him, I caught him on camera. You can see the eye shine as it's looking at me playing with my dog, and it just goes back down again. But they're more curious. Things that they have never seen before just catches their curiosity, and then they act like a puppy who loves a ball, and you show them the ball. You want to play? You want to play? And they get this enthusiastic, like, what's this type of response to them. Um, and that's why I say they're younger, because of the difference in response to things that normally adults just won't respond to.
I gotta ask. All right, you haven't got to this yet. Everybody's gonna want to know. These things have tails or no tails?
He
We just talked about that.
he said they
I
got
mean,
tails.
they do
Well,
have how long? How long? Like short tails, long tails, what? Like
so
line tails?
the ones I've seen are neither long or short, or kind of medium.
Okay.
Now the eyewitnesses that I've firsthand have been to their house and firsthand have worked with them have seen different varieties of tail. We have one in Kentucky who says the tail looked like a cougar tail, a long cougar type, lion type tail. He thought it was a black cougar until it turned around. When he turned around, obviously it wasn't no darn cougar. But the ones I've seen in Wisconsin, on the West Coast, towards the South, have had between a short and medium tail. Nothing long like a wolf or something like that. It does not pass the hocks. I don't know if you know what a hocks is
Yeah.
on a dog. It doesn't pass the hocks.
So all the ones that you've seen have had basically like the hind legs of a dog. None of them been like human type legs, like with a regular knee.
No. They're all been dog type legs.
Okay. Well, on like what you're seeing, what if you had to guesstimate what average height and guesstimated weight, like what you're labeling an adult? What are you talking about?
Height wise, besides the one in Minnesota, height wise, my average is around 8 feet.
Uh,
The one in Minnesota, and I'm saying this because I was there, so I visually saw the height. The property owner had a yardstick that he put on side of a barn, and he would measure as this thing grew because it was a mom and dad and a younger one, and the younger one kept on growing, obviously. On two legs, every time they would come around and he would measure, his was an estimate around 10 feet. But again, I know that because I was there, but my average around 8 feet. Give or take here and there, but average, I would say 8 feet for mine.
well, like dealing with these things, if you had to make a guesstimation, I mean, did they seem like they were just as comfortable on all fours as they were walking upright, and vice versa, or did they seem to be on all fours more than upright? What do you have any idea on that?
Yeah. So in my research, and again, I always say my research, right? They tend to be on all fours more than on two legs. They being on two legs normally is in the presence of a human or human interaction. Um, this is why I believe in the beginning, years ago, people would report the snap, crackle, pop as it got up, right? Um, so if you look at, for instance, humans, if an older individual that is always sitting down is about to stand up, his knees will pop. The accumulation of liquids in the joints. So when you stand up, that bubble pops, and that's what you get on your knees. Now that can happen in any joint you have. So when a dog man spends so much time on four legs, and then he decides to stand up because he's been on four legs so much, you'll hear the popping sound as it gets up. So for me, in my research, if I get a dog man that is joints or I hear this popping sound, the first thing in my mind that I visually jot down is this guy is probably an older one who has been on four legs for a very long time. Now, why do I ended up concluding that is because a lot of the younger ones, their joints do not pop. They'll go up and down and you'll never hear them, right? Which, if you look at younger living creatures, a younger living creature, their knees don't pop because they're very lubricated and they're going back and forth from down to up to down and up, down and up. So joints you don't hear that. And I noticed that for the younger ones, you don't hear the popping sound. It was always normally a full, visually a full grown dog man that when it started getting up, you'd hear the knee poppings, and then it made sense. Well, that means you're on four legs most of your time. So when you do get up, yes, your joints are going to start popping.
Gotcha.
Like your opinion, you think that they're standing up to make themselves be more to look more aggressive or to be more intimidating, or do you think they're just doing it to be more relative to humans, like, to come off an appearance that they're more like humans? Or, I mean, have you thought about any of that?
Yeah. For me, it's more of a defense mechanism. Defense mechanism. They just like a bear. Heck, wolves might stand up to get a better visual if there's tall grass. Apes get up as well. When they're in this defensive mode. So for me, there's no difference in them. They see a human, they see a situation, they'll get up on two legs to make themselves taller, to make them look meaner, more aggressive. Um, so for me, it's because of that, not because they're trying to relate to being equal to humans.
Yeah. Next question. Have you got anywhere that we can send Spencer on a vacation to go play with these things?
My house. Come on over, Spence. And we
I
had what? Right there, the guy who just answered, unknown and
unacknowledged and unknown.
yeah, he's been to the house. He can tell you.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, speaking of that, so you started, to paraphrase, you started looking into these things in Wisconsin. You started reaching out to other people and going to other places and experiencing it. I do want you to touch on the Minnesota thing, but I want you to talk about you moved to Tennessee and you found them there. And before you get into that, do you think it's something about you specifically, that are they coming to find you, or are you just now where you're aware of them and you're actually laying eyes on them because you're already aware of them?
To me, it's because I'm already aware of them. The more you're out in the field, the more you become aware of mimicry, behavioral patterns, and stuff like that. So when something odd happens, you don't just go about like, oh yeah, that was just a fox, or oh yeah, that was just a coyote. Your head kind of changes to the direction of what it was. You kind of move about. So for me, it's the same way. The more you're out there, you become aware of these different mimicries, the different behavior patterns. And once you become aware in their minds, it's like, wait a minute, this individual knows what that is, and that in itself builds curiosity towards them, because quote, you're speaking the same language, so to speak.
When you were first getting into, I mean, I know the hoops I've jumped through doing the booger thing, which it's not like I was intentionally trying to go after Dogman. I mean, it's part of the same thing. If you happen to be in that same environment, I guess you probably got a 50-50 chance of coming across a Dogman as much as a booger. But whenever you were out looking for them, since you were specifically looking for Dogman, first of all, we should tell everybody, it's not like he hasn't experienced boogers. He knows about boogers too. He's ran into them because he was out there looking for Dogman, right, Rick?
Yep.
So whenever you were doing this though, and you were kind of trying to focus more on the Dogman thing, you freaking psycho, were you gifting them? Were you giving them treats, food? Do you have any, before we get into your Tennessee stuff, do you have any insights into like what they like to eat, if they like or dislike certain kinds of music? Did they show up on trash day because they were going through your trash up there in Wisconsin? Tell us some of the characteristics of them.
So they don't like men's odors, colognes. It's too strong. They like flowery odors. So the females tend to have a more, their perfume is based on, let's say, lavender or these flowery smells. Those smells are kind of what attracts them, or stuff that they like. Not necessarily attracts them, but stuff that they like. Men's cologne, you're not going to get yourself a good interaction with it because they just don't like it. A lot of the witnesses that I work with that I have worked with, and again, for those that are listening, when I say I've worked with, these are people that I physically have worked with, right? And have been into their property or I've talked to them on one-on-one with them. A lot of times they will literally steal the lavender from the person's property, right? And it will steal some of these flowery types of smell, flowers from the property. A lot of times the eyewitness thinks it's a deer or whatever. And then when we really research on behavioral patterns and what Dogman can do and doesn't do, then it sinks in that, oh, okay, this is why this and this happened, or this why this happened. So they tend to take that smell better than men's. What they eat everything and anything under the sun, from fruits and vegetables to field corn to meats. It doesn't matter to them. Especially when it comes October, you'll see them a lot in harvest time. A lot of people will say, well, yeah, but the harvest, the deer come in. And sure, I am not saying that if they don't see a deer, they're not going to come in and take a deer. But we have also have had first-hand encounters where in situations, well, they will come in and pick up corn and put it under their armpits to carry out, right? So we know for a fact in Ohio, the scat has had different fruits in them. So they'll eat everything, whatever they can find, food-wise. Have I ever gifted them? No, right? And it all has to do with, so in training, which again, I'm not saying dogmen can be trained on. What I'm saying is, in training, a wild creature becomes unpredictable if the food source is not consistent with what it already hunts, right? So if you want predictable behavior, you have to give it the same food every single time, every single whatever you're giving it, continuously. The minute that changes, then the animal becomes unpredictable. So, for instance, in SeaWorld, the normal prediction is the orca does something, the trainer grabs a fish and gives it to the orca. The first time an orca attacked one of the trainers was because there wasn't any fish in the bucket. The trainer told the orca to go do something, and the trainer went to bluff or to pretend it grabbed the fish from the bucket. There was no fish, so now the behavior becomes unpredictable. You see a lot of that with some, or I've heard about it, when it comes to Bigfoot. If a person is giving them whatever it is, and one day they stop giving it, or they always give it on Tuesday, and today is Friday, they'll have a different behavior. Well, it's because it becomes unpredictable. So unless I can provide for them something that they already hunt on a continuous basis, I will not physically give them anything from me.
What about
Go ahead.
sound? What about sounds? Music, loud noises like running a lawnmower or a machinery late at night, anything like that?
Yes. So if and it all depends on who you are. So for instance, if let's say your property you've never had loud noises at nighttime, and all of a sudden you're remodeling the kitchen and you're turning on a skill star or whatever, and you have dogmen around, you're going to have a visit, or you're going to hear something you weren't supposed to hear, right? Because it's not normal for them. It's a change of the environment. Now, with music, if my house is full of, let's say, jazz, right? And all of a sudden one person comes into the house and starts playing rock, hard rock, I'm going to have a problem because they're not used to the hard rock. They're used to my jazz. But if you have dogmen in a property and that property, the person listens to hard rock, right? And all of a sudden you play jazz, that's a change. That sparks a curiosity in them. Now, what I don't suggest people to do if you're on the field is blow a dog whistle. Last person to blow the dog whistle that I know of got charged.
Don't tell me that, because when I'm out hunting, I use a dog whistle to call my dogs in.
Well, but you're not hunting for Dogman.
No, but I'm out in the middle of nowhere, up in the mountains. So,
But yeah, they don't like dog whistles. In the case that I'm talking about, that the individual was actually trying to research Dogman, and Dogman had come in. By then, I knew a lot of their vocals and what some vocals may or may not have meant. So as I'm hearing the long version of the tape, I broke it down to him what was happening, and sure enough, when he blew the whistle, they came charging in, and you can hear it on the audio. Like, yeah, you weren't supposed to do that. So loud, high pitched noises they are not fond of if they're not used to it. Right? So if you go to whatever forest and people normally don't go there, and you start blowing a whistle and they're there, you're going to have a slight problem. Because they just don't like it.
Do these things, when you've been around them, do they have any? What kind of smell do they have? I mean, is it just like a dog smell? What are the? You ever smell them?
Well, besides, yeah, I'm gonna say it's cliche, right? Your typical wet dog smell, but your typical wet dog smell, depending if it's a female, tends to be more cleaner than a male. They can be around you and you not smell them. They have two different smells, but it depends on. Um, so best way to describe it. You know how a dog excretes its anal glands.
Yeah.
So if you startle it versus if it's mad at you, you'll have two different smells. But all it
Okay.
is a secretion of the anal glands because it's an emotional state of I'm mad or shit. What the hell was that? Right? Because it didn't know you were there and it got startled. So if you're smelling rotten meat, sulfur, burnt electrical cords, that means it's on a defensive. Normally, just get the hell out. Get your butt and walk out. If
All
you're
right.
smelling like a rotten floral type smell, it's probably you spooked it. So stay still, calm down, walk slowly. You know, he'll figure out that you weren't there to mess with him, and just keep going your way.
Well, let me ask another question, Spencer. Don't freak out. This is legitimate science and study. So you've seen the females, right?
Uh-huh.
You all right? The world's got to know. Do these things have two teats or like two rows of teats?
Okay, so no. You're gonna love my answer, right? Because my answer is logic, right? Based, although I've seen it, but this is where if that female has never given birth, you will never know what it is, unless the dogman is short-haired and you can see a pecker, right?
it
Just
makes
like a
sense because
dog,
a female dog, I mean, you don't see their tits either until after they've had pups.
right? And then what happens with pups, with dogs, right? With dogs, the pups suckle the bottom tits. Those get enlarged and gorged with milk. Do you normally see enlarged or gorged tits on the top of a female if it only has, let's say, two pups? No, they're normally flat. Only the bottom ones that are being stimulated by the puppy are the ones that get big. Well, on a dog man, the ones that get stimulated are the top ones, not the bottom
They
ones.
hold them.
Right. So once those pups are weaned and there's no more milk, that goes back down. The hair is going to cover it. So it's the position in which the pups suckle. Dog man's on top. Your normal dog is on the bottom. So, people might see, oh, it had boobs. What you're saying is it has pups.
And it makes sense.
I don't even know where to go with the conversation after that. Thank
Well, hey, I do. Let me ask you this. So, do they pull the hair out from around them just like, cats or anything else, especially if their hair's longer, they'll pull it out so everything can nurse. Remember, we've heard people talk about how stuff's bare chested and they would see breasts, and I wonder if that's why.
Well, I haven't been that close to know if it's licking his nipples. I mean, come on now, I'm not.
This is
I
coming
know
from
my limits.
this is coming from the same person that asked if boogers could get fleas. She's going to ask you that next. Can Dogman get fleas?
Hey, can they? Do you see them scratching and digging?
Well. Do humans get fleas?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, no, I've never had fleas.
Well, wait. So humans bathe. We bathe ourselves frequently enough where the fleas die off, right? But if a person wouldn't bathe itself, can they get fleas?
Yes.
And the answer is yes. So that would apply to any living creature. If it doesn't bathe itself frequently, it's going to get fleas and ticks.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Rick, talk about some of the Tennessee stuff before they start asking again.
Well, what do you want to know? My house or?
Yeah. Go with your house. Whenever you moved in there, what's the first thing you noticed when you moved in down there that gave the game away that they were there?
Okay, so we moved down there in December, probably late December. So we had two RVs. It was me, my ex, my son, and my in-laws. We had two different RVs. My mother-in-law had bought a generator. So the generator was turned on, let's say, late evening to cool off the refrigerator and watch some TV. I was in my RV by myself. We were watching TV. So just imagine we had two TVs. Both RVs had a TV going, a generator on. So my property is like a horseshoe type, right? So there's a creek on either side, and where the cabin is at is like higher up in between the two horseshoes. So if you're looking towards the road, my left side, this howl scream thing happened so loud that you heard that over the generator, to the point that everyone walked out asking what the hell was that. Now at that moment in time, I didn't say to myself, oh yeah, that's a Dogman or that's a Bigfoot. I knew it was a cryptid because of the depth of that howl scream. And that thing was like right down where the creek was at. Okay, that was the first time. I didn't put much thought to it. We were going through difficulties at a moment in time. New property. We were trying to do a lot of things. It was one of the coldest winters that Tennessee had in a long time. So things were happening. So I didn't put much interest to that. One day, it's probably about 11 o'clock at nighttime. One of my dogs is loose. I want to put him in a crate. And as I'm putting him in the crate, now the crate is facing the driveway up into the property. And obviously, the reason that was is because he would be able to see if anybody or anything was coming up the driveway. As I put him in there, this dog, he was 115-pound mastiff bulldog mix. He's barking off his lung. This dog is just ballistic. I'm thinking he's gonna bust out through this crate. Whatever he's hearing, seeing, this dog is about to bust out. So I look towards the driveway. I don't see nothing. I have a headlamp on. It's not a very bright headlamp, but I'm not seeing eyes shine. I'm not seeing nothing. I'm like, what in the world are you barking at? What's gotten you so mad? I turn around. I'm hearing birds chatter, like, early morning birds chattering. And I'm looking towards that direction. So the minute I stopped and now focus my attention to that chatter, now it started chattering deeper and more aggressive while still continuing the bird chatter. Don't explain to me how that works. Right? And the minute I said, I know what you is, and I walked forward probably 2 steps. So I'm trying to get eye shine from my headlamp. This thing bolted to the opposite side of the creek. And once they bolted, the speed in which it left, I was convinced, okay, I know what you are. Because Dogman tend to do the birdie chirpy sounds, right? And I've heard the birdie chirpy sounds enough in the field, enough where I can say, okay, yeah, you're a Dogman. So that was part 2. Now I know, okay, I know that that's a Dogman. Then, and I have an audio. I don't know if I sent it to you, and I don't think I did, but that was earlier. You know, when we moved in there, it was probably early January. I'm outside. It's twilight outside, so it's I'm gonna say, I don't know, probably it had just become dark. And in the distance, I heard the howl, your typical Dogman howl, which I have other howls of the same caliber on my phone, so I already knew. Oh, great! I got a Dogman here. That was the first thing out of my mouth, and I walked my butt back inside. Like, great! You got to be kidding me. So now both of my, this is when we broke up. Me and my ex broke up. The day I knew I had boogers in the yard, I was putting in the dogs, so I had 2 10x10 kennels in the back. And the dogs would be there. They would use the bathroom there. So I took them out, put them in there while I got dressed, and then put them back in their crates. And when I walked away from the crates, I let the bulldog mastiff loose. He runs around my van. As I'm walking around the van, I hear your typical slap, whether it be by hand, them slapping their bellies, whatever it is, a slap, right? And my shoulders went up slightly. I tried not to make a big fuss of what I just heard. Kept on walking, put in the dog, walked back. I looked into the tree line. And again, I literally said, and I know what you are. As I pointed, got in my van and left. So those back in January of 3 years ago, 2022, 21, 22, is when I knew that I had both critters in the property.
Rick, hold on one second. For those of you that don't know, chirping, clicking sounds have often been associated with, well, with Dogman. I would argue that a lot of times people are probably saying it's Dogman and it might be a booger. I mean, because, you know, unless you actually see it make the sound or whatnot, you don't really know for sure. But of course, if the only thing you ever see on your property is a booger and you're hearing whoops, you associate it with boogers. I mean, until I started really looking into the Dogman thing, I had no idea so many people were talking about Dogmen making popping, knocking sounds or like mouth popping things or throwing rocks. I thought that was specifically a booger kind of thing. But there are a lot of clicking, mouth popping, chirping sounds associated with Dogman. In fact, we're going to play some of the videos here in a minute. He's got audio of one doing a huff and one doing this weird clicking sound. But anyway, well.
Yeah, the first time. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I apologize. I'm sorry.
No.
I was about the noise though. I hear birds when I'm outside at night, and it's weird because I mean they'll just like get started for no reason. And I know it sounds like birds, but I've also heard like what you're talking about, and it's I've told them before, and I hate to say it, but I said I'm not so sure that I've got big feet coming in, you know, more than it may actually be, you know, Dogmen that I'm hearing. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you want to hear?
Go ahead.
Well, it's your show, Rick. But do you want to show? Do you want to show the videos just so people have some context about what you're talking about?
Yeah. Do you have the one from Wisconsin? The clicking.
It's in there. We'll just have to go through each one. You didn't
Okay.
tell me to put them in a certain order, Rick.
Well, and you didn't ask me either.
Oh, he won't. Now he's like a little 2-year-old. You got to tell him step by step, or he just don't understand.
All right.
Here it is. He done messed up show and tell.
Hold on. We'll show the stuff and we'll stop at each one and he can talk about it. Because what's going to happen is the same thing that's happening now. As soon as everybody hears you start talking, they're going, well, wait a minute. What about this? What about this? And they're going to want to ask you questions. I want you to talk about your stuff, but at the same time, you got to answer some of their questions. So,
Right.
all right, here we go. Where are we at here? All right. So, what are we looking at there?
Dogman print. My property, possible Dogman print, but yes, it's my driveway leaving the property.
How big is that? It looks decent size.
My fist. Now, my fist is probably the same size as your average 6-foot person. Fits inside that.
Do you think that's a front track or a rear track?
Front track.
Okay.
That is Kentucky Eyewitness. These tracks were the Eyewitness. Saw the Dogman looking at her and her kids. And in the morning, she took the pictures. Those are front tracks. Notice that they're rounded, not like your typical dog tracks. And then on the pad, you have like the double pad.
Yes, I was going to point that out. Yes.
Yeah, versus your typical pad. So there's a lot of differences between this pad and, let's say, your typical dog pad or wolf pad, or paw in general.
Something that he was talking about earlier, and I had a chance to ask him about this over the course of the past couple months, and he explained it really good. I wish I would have downloaded the squirrel tracks like you sent me to try and explain this. What he said was, if your fingers are splayed like this, you're going to leave a front hand track like that. He said, but if you do your fingers like this, you're leaving the pad. So imagine retracting your fingers and walking like this. Squirrels do it. And it's a really good point. Squirrels do it. You can find squirrel tracks where their fingers are together or they're spread out like that. Coons do it too. Anyway, I wish I would have got the pictures on here. I didn't think about grabbing those. All right. That's a cast.
That is a rear. That is the casting of the other print. That is a Dogman track from Illinois. So a week prior, I'm gonna say a week or two prior, me and my team were in Illinois. We were, doing some research at nighttime, and so we cold camp, no nothing. We just put out freaking yoga mats and we sleep on the floor. So that night we did several things that I don't want to mention because let's just say we had an accident because of me calling in a dog. but probably 2 weeks, I would say 2 or 3 weeks. I can't quite figure it out. We had another friend of ours who had gone walking on the trail, which is across from where we were at. Right, so we were in the woods. There's no trails where we're at. We had to cross a railroad track and then go up slight mountain and whatnot. So we were there. She was across the street. There's a park, and she began to find these tracks, and these tracks were the size of her shoe. These aren't, this is, imagine you putting your foot on the floor, your average 9 size shoe, and having a track the size or slightly longer than that shoe print. And we have other prints from there, which I can put in adult prints with some of the puppy prints from the same trackway that these casts were taken from. And so we went. I called one of the guys, and I said, "Hey, listen, are you able to go, here and cast these if you find them?" And so he casted this one. Notice that, and this is a hind leg. Notice the dew claw
Yeah.
on the side there, and then what appears to be, and this goes back to the cat or dog, right? What
Oh
we
no, we haven't gotten into that yet. Don't
Oh,
start,
okay, fine. I'll shut up.
don't start that shit yet.
Uh,
The dew claw and the rear
Bad.
pad. So let me ask you this: if you've laid eyes on them, I've not. If it's got digitigrade feet, where the front part of the foot is hitting, but not necessarily the rear part of the foot is hitting, like a human standing on the ball of their feet, raising their heels up off the ground.
Right.
Okay, the pad, is that from them lowering down and that rear heel part?
Yes.
Hits? Okay.
Yeah.
And that would explain why the dew claw is showing up in this one, because it lowered
Yep.
down.
Yep. And this is the rear leg.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll when they're like crouched down, the back part hits, because again, they're not always going to be on that ball of their feet.
Yeah.
Like I said, if they stop, they squat down a little bit, they maneuver, they switch positions. Just like a dog, if you look at a dog running, that back paw is not always on the ball of the pad. Sometimes it bends. The whole thing hits the ground versus just the pad. This is the actual print from that cast.
Now, I would just like to point out something in my humble opinion. Let me see. I don't know if this will make it any bigger for y'all. Does that make it bigger for y'all?
Not for me. I see the same.
No? All right. If you look at the impact of where the pad is behind the toes, you see how deep it is, and you see the dirt pushed up in between that and the actual pads of the toes.
Mm-hmm.
That would, and the toes are elongated. I dare you to find any kind of dog track that matches something like that, because normally a dog's toe pads are wider and they're fatter and shorter than that. They're not as long as that. It would make sense that this thing is keeping its, by this track. I mean, it's what it looks like. It looks like that thing is keeping its toes scrunched up instead of stretched out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, we done gone on to the other one.
Up.
Damn it! Stop. Pause. Okay. Anyway, that's a pretty good picture of a track, and I've seen quite a few pictures of supposed Dogman tracks. I don't know. I'm not overly familiar with this subject, but this is one from Illinois, you said, Rick?
Yep, Illinois.
And she got
how big was that track?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Probably size 9, 10 size foot boot. There's a boot. Let me see if I can. No, I don't know if I can get the boot without getting off, but there's a boot next to it. So the lady's foot, it's about a 9 or 10 size shoe next to that track. It's the same size.
I mean, look at the toes on it. I mean, that's just crazy looking.
If there's been a few people, K. Michael has some pictures of tracks from in Ohio from a friend of his, and they look just like this. All right, this is where we get into the video stuff, and like this next one, the huff part is at the very beginning of it. So as soon as I start playing it, we'll have to play it. I have to rewind it, but I don't know any other way to loop it so that it'll do it. So just listen right at the very beginning. What is that, Rick?
You remember the video that I sent you?
Yeah.
Of the rattling of the door?
Yeah.
That was on the outside before the door rattled.
Oh, okay. All right. Where was this, in Wisconsin?
No, that was in Kentucky.
Kentucky. Let's play. Is this breathing? Is it breathing?
Breathing / huff.
All right.
So it's like a.
Okay. And you were on the other side of the door?
Not me.
Somebody else?
Something else.
Well, I mean, were you there? Was it doing this?
No, so the video that you saw,
yeah,
was an actual video call done to me that I recorded when the eyewitness was having trouble with their Dogman.
Oh, okay.
Imagine you at past 12, getting a video call on Messenger, and what you saw, the clip that you saw, there's 2 videos. Obviously, I wasn't going to send you one with the eyewitness face on it, but I send you the second one that doesn't have the eyewitness face on it. That was the day he called me, he video chatted me with it on the opposite side of the door.
What did he do to piss it off?
His father, so it cornered him on a tree. They were hunting. I think they were coon hunting. His father, it cornered him on a tree. Just, it wasn't going to hurt him, or at least it wasn't hurting him. But his father obviously freaked out and shot at it without shooting directly at it. And then obviously he ducked and ran away. And then that just set it off. It just came back to the cabin.
So, same thing as boogers won't shoot at him?
No, you don't want to shoot at a dog, man, because their vengeance, they're like tigers. They like to come back and find out what the hell did you just do. Can you stop it once it starts? Yes. In his case, we stopped it within the first 3 days. But he had a scare. He had a nasty scare.
All right. Tell us what this next one is.
That vocalization is what I call a vocalization into action.
You call it a what?
So now this vocalization has been heard in both Illinois and Ohio. That one that you got there is from Ohio. But when you have dogmen around doing something or whatever, normally the one who's in charge, the alpha, kind of makes this vocalization, and then you'll hear the rest of them just going towards that noise. So hence why I said the vocalization, the call to action. There, he's kind of rounding them up. And the times that I've been out in the field, that's what has happened. Is you'll hear this, and then you'll hear the running towards the direction that came from.
Okay. This next one is good. Oh, wait.
It's really in the beginning, like the first 2 seconds.
Okay.
No, that was the previous one.
It's right there. It's the first second or two. It's really hard to get it. It's a huff.
Yeah. So that one was.
This one's good.
Go ahead.
Here, let me play it. This one's good.
That's your typical. So that howl, when they do your typical howl, it's stretched out. So that woo, it just stretches. It's stretched out. Those I'll hear those in my property. Those are just your typical howls. I mean, I haven't had a situation where I can say, well, yeah, that howl means X, Y, and Z, or it may mean X, Y, and Z. You just hear them at nighttime.
Hold on, I'm gonna play it again. Where was that at?
That's the UK.
The UK.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! It really is an American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, probably. And what's interesting is these vocalizations. I can, like, for instance, that howl. One of the ways that I call them into my property is mimicking that howl, the long, extended howl. On average, if they're around, I will get a response back.
Sorry, I was reading some of these comments. This is the one on the
Clicking.
I guess on the inside of the door. Yeah, the clicking.
So
what did you? Oh, shoot!
Go ahead.
Where'd y'all go?
What
did you say that it threw a rock right afterwards?
Yes. So we had this was an expedition we had in Wisconsin. So we were supposed to go to one of our friends' property, and we did not end up going there. We ended up going to an eyewitness's house that she had called me up. I had been to her house. Her children left the property. She needed to leave the property, so she left. The house was foreclosure. At the time that we got to the property, the paperwork was still in her name, but they had already started the procedures for the foreclosure. So we asked her, "Hey, listen, can we use the property as a site for some research?" And she said yes. When we first got there, we did hear tree being pushed over, which obviously we know that we're Bigfoot. And so okay, we got activity the first day. We saw large X's, and so our hopes wasn't really much for Dogman. So that was the first day. The second day, we were all gathered in a semicircle looking towards the woods, the house being behind us. One of our teammates got there late, and he proceeded to take his chair and go into the woods and sit down. All of us are like, why would you be doing that? But never mind. He went inside. Well, I'd say it took about like 10 minutes before he walked out the woods past me back to the semicircle. And what he said was, in the woods, he began to hear the clicking sounds, and he was beginning to get surrounded. So he said, screw that. He got this chair, turned on his height. He had his headlamp was I don't know, probably 500 lumens or something. It was a very bright, which got us slightly upset at that moment in time, because he was brightening up everything. But he got behind us. That, I believe it was that night, is when we recorded this sound towards my left side. Shortly after he came in, we had 2 audio recorders. So in the property I believe it was towards my right, we had like a a metal shed, and it would during the whole night it would make this sound. Not the whole night, but it took them a while. They would make this sound and then toss the rocks. Now, for those that might say, well, that kind of sounds like a tree frog. This is late September, October in northern Wisconsin, so it's cold. There is no tree frogs. We did also record. There was also pups that night. And the reason we know the pups is because when there's pups, there's a particular howl that mom does, and so we heard the particular howl, and then the pitter patters or the pups running back to that sound. But that's what that was. That was the clicking and then the throwing of rocks, and we got rocks thrown at us several times. I think on day 3 we were again at the semicircle, and one of my friends was on my left side, on towards my rear, and he had brought a pet fox. The fox was like 6 months old, and the fox started growling. So he had some IR night vision goggles, and he looked towards the fox, and he turned his head towards the house, and sure enough, there was a dog man inside the yard right behind all of us. He looked at it, he starts yelling, Rick, Rick, Rick. So I got out of my so-called tent, walked out, and I'm like, what? And he was right there. So he saw the whole thing, top to bottom, through the night vision. We all came out. We started looking at the area with the red beam on our headlamps. Some of us had the lights on as well, but the dude was gone. But that's where that audio came from. And then obviously the last day 5th, before breakfast, here comes this Bigfoot yelling at everybody and just tossing grass to the side and pretty much telling us get the hell out. But that was on day 5.
Golly.
So Boogers and Dogman at
Yep.
the same spot.
And it was 5 of us. So there was more than one person that can retell the stories.
So were they together? Like
I don't think they were together. I think like in my house, there's a time frame where one shows up, then there's another time frame where the others show up. So they to me it was like that same scenario. I want to say early evening we had Dogman activity versus early morning. Then we would have Bigfoot things pop up. But they respect the space, but they kind of have their time frames where they're up and at them.
All right. Last clip. That sounds like a booger yell to me.
play it again. I didn't hear it.
Listen.
It sounds more like what I label a booger, Spencer.
Yeah.
So the reason, and you guys could be right. The reason I attribute that one to Dogman is because in the 3 years that I'm there, Dogmen tend to come from one side of the property, and boogers tend to come from the other side of the property. Now, let's not say that they haven't one day looked at each other and say, "Hey, let's switch sides." I don't know, right?
Let me ask you this: what do you think the interaction between the Bigfoot and the Dogman? You think they get along? You think they conspire together? You think they hate each other? They just get along? What's your opinion on that?
So, based on my experience, the places that I've been to, including my own property, you'll have different time frames where one shows up, and then they leave, and then the other shows up. So there's a mutual respect between property, between land and them being there. Can you have both of them on the same property? Yes. It's just you might not have them both at the same time. Now, I have talked to some eyewitnesses, firsthand eyewitnesses, who will have or see a Dogman and a Bigfoot yards from each other. But to answer your question fully, I believe in general they'll respect each other's space. In Ohio, where I was at once, they had a slight war. But the eyewitness and I, based on our information that we were collecting, think that it was probably the alpha Dogman was too old and it was switching over, so that brought problems with the boogers there, or the Grassman because it's Ohio, but it brought problems with the two clans. That they had scuffles and slight fights, but to me they just tend to just respect each other's space. There's not really like there's going to be outright war every single time. They just each one goes their ways.
They coexist as long as they respect each other's spaces, right?
Correct.
Makes sense. Well, who was it? Who was talking about that? I'm trying to think. So, somebody was talking about setting some stuff on fire, and I better not tell. I ain't gonna say who it is. They may not want me to. But anyways, they was burning some brush, and a rabbit and I think he said a coyote come running out of the same brush pile. He said, I'd have never thought that you would have ever seen two of, a predator and an animal, just a rabbit and a coyote that was it was a fox living in the same brush pile. But he said whenever he was trying to burn them out, that he watched a rabbit and a fox both run out of the same one. So, I mean, I guess they were coexisting too in the same spot, just because they got to go where they got to go. There's only so many places they can hide and live.
Yeah, and that's how they are.
Yeah. Rick, can you see the area of Ohio?
You don't have to.
I call it Dogmantopia, but that's not the name of it. Hocking Hills.
Hocking Hills.
I'm not
Well,
that makes so much sense.
We happen to know some people from Hocking Hills that have some Dogman shit and a bunch of booger stuff. So
there's no surprise in that, is it?
No.
That's funny right there. That is not what I expected him to say, but that makes sense.
Hocking Hills. Yeah, I call the area Dogmantopia. The day I went in there, the first day I went in there was no doubt. The minute I got out of my car, it's like, damn, they're so strong. You can smell the Dogman. The guy goes, you can smell that? It's like, yeah, I can smell that. It's not my first rodeo. I can smell that. All right, so we started talking. We started walking, and I don't know, it was about midnight. Give or take, we were walking down a road. I didn't say that, right? A street. And we got to the bottom of it, and I stopped, and I looked at him and says, is that nail clicking on the floor? And he looked at me and goes, yeah. That little bitch is over there. So he looked at me, okay, so, we started walking backwards. And when we got back to where we were, the starting point, we both turned around and we were just talking Dogman. We were talking stuff in general. This little shit, he wasn't little, he was big, but I call him little shit. He walks down the street, walks into our street, away from the darkness, looks at us. I look at him. I look towards the front. I look at him again. He looks. He sees the rear end of it as it goes back into the shadows, walking back up the street. And so we call it Dogmantopia. Because they're so used to being there, they literally don't give a crap if there's a person outside or not. They just, oops, let's go this way because there's a human there. And I was baffled. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous. And then certain times of the year, they'll be more active than others. I've been wanting to take a thermal over there to that area because what I saw and I experienced, it was like this was gonna be easy peasy to get a thermal of a Dogman, a clear thermal at that. But yeah, Hocking Hills.
Somebody ask him a question.
Uh-oh.
When I ask something, y'all laugh at me.
No,
Spencer's had a stroke.
ask away. Needs to ask away.
Well, no, I was trying to hold on.
All right. Anyway,
responding to Hillary.
Rick, talk about
Yep.
the Minnesota thing real quick.
Hold on. I think that may be what somebody asked about. Tomahawk.
So what do you want to hear about the Minnesota?
I want to hear the whole thing with that guy. I mean, at least give us a brief background if this person had them there and he was seeing them enough to where he could recognize them and name them and everything. How did it start and what was the situation? How did it resolve? Did the guy pack up and move away, or he's still there?
Okay, so the basics, right? Because so he'd go. I think he would go into the woods to collect mushrooms or stuff like that. Don't quote me on what he would collect, but he'd go into the woods to collect stuff. And it just happens there was two dogmen there. Those two dogmen were, I'll use the word assholes towards him. Because I guess they didn't want him in the property, so they were just assholes towards him. And that kind of escalated because they ended up at his house, and so the guy is being an asshole because they're being assholes. And they did several things to him, into his RV and other things. So hence why he would be an asshole towards them. I think a family member may have told him to stop being an asshole and just call them names. So he took that in a sarcastic but to heart scenario. So he started naming them and treating them like if they were puppy dogs, or at least talk to them like that. And it changed the whole dynamic, right? Now, I'm not saying that these guys shook hands, right? I'm not saying that. But it changed the whole dynamic, so there was no more of them being assholes to each other. And then obviously these two brought a pup once, left it on the property, and they would leave for a few days out, and the pup would be in the property. And as a normal pup, he'd be a shithead because he's a puppy. He didn't know. So there's a lot of things that happened there with the puppy being a shithead. But then parents would come back, and he'd go with his parents and not see them again for weeks or months on end. Then the name of the puppy was named simply because of something that happened with other wildlife. I don't want to mention the pup's name, right? But because of these things that happen with the other wildlife, that was the name he gave this pup. And every time he would hear that wildlife, he knew that this guy was around or showing up because they would always travel together. But he would take a stick. His cabin has like a garage, a metal garage. If you're looking at the cabin towards your rear left side, and every time they would come out to that side, because they would come out of the woods, and then they'd peek from that corner to the cabin. And every time he would see them, he'd go back and measure and put a mark there, and that's how he kept measuring how tall it was growing, and how many months it took him to grow, whatever tall. By that, the guy stayed there. He still lives there. He still has dogman activity there, but it's just a coexistence. They see him. They see his dogs. They don't mess with his dogs. Now, obviously, he's educated his dogs not to mess with them. So his dogs have been safe for years. That was the first time I ever drove. I think it was 9 hours from where I lived to his place just for Dogman research, and I had a blast. I had a blast. And again, when that thing stood up, 'cause there was some what's that plant that grows in ponds? Lily something. I don't know what it is. What it's called. But this thing rose up above all these dry plants, and when that thing rose up, my head just went up, 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 up. Like holy shit,
It came
And
out
like
of
I
the
said,
plane.
so he came out of the woods. It's pitch black. My car headlamps, my car headlamps, my car beams, because I was going to go into the car. That was what was reflecting in front, but everything else was black. But he had come from the wood lines, and there was some, I don't know what it's called. They look like little corn dogs. You see them in ponds,
Cattails.
Yeah,
cattails.
yes.
So there was a bunch of cattails in that slight pond, and he was on the opposite side of the cattails. Right, the pond wasn't big, but he was just on the opposite side. And then as I'm looking that way, he rose up from the cattails and just slowly rose up like a freaking brontosaurus from Jurassic Park. His neck, just his whole body just rose up, and he's looking at me. And these were the most beautiful blue eye shine I have ever seen in my damn life. The first blue eye shine, they were just mesmerizing. The guy shows up from behind. He spooked me. Obviously, I'm looking at front of me like, holy crap, this thing is like, right here. So as when he showed up, he spooked me, and the first question is, who has blue eye shine? Right? And I named them by name because I know their names. I named them, who has blue eye shine? So and so, so and so, and so and so. And he goes, so and so does. Well, he was just here. He went this way, and we made a bonfire, close by the car to see if we can have him do peekaboos, or at least see his eye shine again. We didn't get it. We did hear him move around in the brush at us, but me being a stranger, I'm assuming he just didn't want to play nice, obviously. But the guy that lives there, he'll see them looking through the windows, or if he's outside doing something, they'll come around. When that dog man was a pup, he used to mess with him. He would mess with the dude, right? Especially in hunting season, he'd steal because he would butcher his own deer, and he would steal stuff that he would cut off and put in the tailgate of his pickup truck. As he was cutting, he turns around, and the thing is stealing pieces of meat from what he just cut. There was always a fight, like, dude, get out of here or something. But I got to see him, and I think it was a long weekend. I think it was like from Thursday to Sunday evening when I came back to Wisconsin. But that was in Minnesota, and I miss that spot, and I want to go back over there. But again, COVID hit, and then we still talk, obviously, but we haven't like made plans for me to just go back over there.
It's wild. Have you ever heard of anybody actually like making friends with them? I mean, obviously, I'm not saying like them hanging around like little lap dogs or nothing, but other than just like coming in, seriously, I'm curious.
So okay,
I
okay, no, wait,
want to know if I'm going to get a chance.
So this guy is what you would consider. This guy is what you would consider them being close, but there's another young lady from a foreign country. We've known each other probably 5, 6, probably 7 years. Since she had a situation with her from when she was younger until the day she called me, until today, we still talk. She has what you would call a coexistence / friendship with them. They know her enough. She dogs in the woods early mornings. So one of her routine is she'll howl before jogging into the woods, and they'll howl back. and she'll go on her jog and jogs around the track and whatever, and comes back. They've taken stuff that she's forgotten, like she's forgotten stuff. She'll take off a jacket, for instance, and leaves it somewhere in the car next to the car, and comes back and there's no jacket anymore. They've saved her life multiple times. From her, we've gotten a lot of information, which again, the way I began was, besides me going out and trying to collect information, but I would take what an eyewitness would say or did or did not do, and then I would experiment myself out in the woods. So there's a lot of times where I said, "Oh shit, that is not good," right? But when things do turn out good, those are things you jot down. Oh, okay, if I do this, this is going to happen. Let me go try it out in this different state. And then when things begin to be a pattern that you continue to do and duplicate the same thing, then you really jot that down as, okay, this is what happens if you do this. But she has had her share of situations friend wise with them. She's also have had situations where things have not been good for her friends, so-called friends, because of friends being idiots. So they're like her unwanted bodyguards. So if you have a friend that acts stupid, they're going to find the friend and act stupid too. Again, I can tell you 2 or 3 stories when it comes to that, if you like. But she's the closest that can really, um, that I can say, oh, you've done what everybody else would have dreamt of doing and continue to do, because they know her left and right.
Yeah.
Actually, the coolest one that was like a bridge between what I already had, what I already talked about in my house and with other people. When she mentioned that, it was holy shit. She went on a jog. She left her phone. Her husband was calling her, and her jog. She realized that, wait a minute, I don't have my phone with me. Where is it? Let me go back. Long story short, the phone was between the front paws of the Dogman when she got back to her car.
The
She
dog man
freaked out.
picked up her phone.
The Dogman had laid down next to the phone, next to her car. So when she came off the trail and heard the phone, she went around her car to the driver's side, and it was laying there with the phone in between its paws.
Wow.
Um,
You think it was
you
because
remember?
it was ringing, or
Well,
maybe
it knows her. It knows her. Spencer, you know the vocalization that you said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
That's the vocalization that it gave her.
Wow.
Man, Spencer, please
See,
tell
like,
me I'm not.
they're not all bad, Spencer. It's all right.
Look, Spencer, please tell me I wasn't the only person that could picture Misty leading one back to her car, going, "I will kiss him and hug him, and I will call him George."
George.
Oh, geez.
Pet him and love him and take him home and clean him up.
Uh,
I'll
I
brush
want to
him and
suggest
trim
that,
his toenails
but
and love him forever.
Say, uh,
but there is a connection. There is a connection of eyewitnesses and Dogman. So for the most part, and I say for the most part, I haven't had one that's not like this, but I can't say it's 100% for everything, right? Because we got to be honest with ourselves. There's just that everything that I've studied, researched, and gone to, this is always the scenario. And I'll say 95% of the time, it's higher for me, but I'll just say 95% of the time, If you're having an encounter of a dogman in your property, it's because the dogman already knows you, already trusts you, and there's a den somewhere in your backwoods.
Well, let me ask you since we're already at 2 hours, let me hit you with a couple questions, just your opinion on it real quick. Some things, and we can come back. You can come back on the show, and I mean, if people want to, because you got so much more to talk about. But couple things. What do you think about dens? Do you think they're in the ground or above ground?
So a lot of dens are done into the side of a creek bed. There are some dens that have a top over them, and then it just goes inside. So you have a dome on top, and then it just goes in. But a lot of them are dug into the side of a creek bed, a dry creek bed, or if there's a tree there, they'll go in there. It's just dug out.
So have you ever found what you think is a den?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, have I gone towards it? No, but based on the research that I've done, based on other eyewitnesses who have been in the same position as me, obviously, the reason I won't do it is because these dogmen they know the eyewitness. That's why there's a den there, right? When I go out into the middle of nowhere and I end up finding a den, they don't know me, so it's a whole different scenario, right?
Well,
So if I go ahead,
if there are pups, any animal is going to defend its young.
right?
So that's why I wouldn't do it. But I was just wondering if
Yeah, no, me neither. I'm a bear hunter, but I'm not walking up on their den and going in for sure. Not even getting close.
It's the same thing with me. I'll see something, that, and you might have that wet dog smell come out, but there's no way in hell I'm going to go in there, or near that thing. It's like, nope, I'm out. I'll pinpoint it on my GPS and do something, around it further out later on, further away, but I'm not going to go towards it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this on the same lines as with the den. Do you have any idea? Do you have any reason to believe of a certain gestation period, a certain mating time, how long the gestation period is, a certain time of year where the young are born? You have any info on that?
I have an idea. I don't know if that'd be a good thing to say it on the air.
Okay.
How
many?
Let's just say early in the year is your average time where they give pups.
Yeah, well, I mean, boogers for the most part, I think we've got it somewhat narrowed down to about November for mating season, and then normally about May for birth. April, May. I mean, between March, April, May. I don't know. There's a lot of activity and a lot of different howls and screams and everything right in then. But anyway, I'll talk to you about that privately. What do you think about how many kids do you think they have at one time? Just yes.
No less than 2. Maximum that I've seen or have been reported to is 4 to 5, but your average is just 2. And family units normally consist of those pups and the adults. So you'll have a unit of 5 to 6 in total.
Do you have any idea, like territory wise, just like based off of what people have told you? Do you have any idea roughly how much room one small family unit has before they bump into another one or boogers or something else?
I have not. I mean, I've heard about other cryptids, but again, I've heard. me per se, I can tell you, going back to Wisconsin, the first eyewitness that saw the Dogman, the two Dogman from our property. And some people might ask, well, how do you know they're the same ones? Because color patterns are genetics. You don't have two living creatures with the exact same color pattern. You might have some that are thicker, wider, thinner, but not the exact same. Because the way the creature eats or his nutrition and his genetics is what determine a certain pattern when it does have a pattern in his body. So when we have three different families giving the exact same definition of two, we will lean towards these are the same two that has been seen by three different eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
That said, those two had been seen 108 miles south from the house or where I lived up in Wisconsin.
That's a big territory.
I got to ask one more thing because if we don't, people's gonna blow it up. You've seen these things a lot of times. Have you ever tried to get video or pictures of the actual creatures? I mean, you just don't try it, or you have tried. Do they act a certain way if you got a camera? There's going to be a lot of people ask that question.
So I at nighttime I can pick up eye shine by changing the color of my camera.
Yeah,
I have collected multiple eye shines, including me coming into the property, of them looking at me and turning their heads, right? Or at least you'll see the eye turning. Have I tried to take pictures of them during the daytime? No, because why? Most dogmen that I've come close contact, I don't see them half a mile away, and I get close to them, right? It's most likely me walking, following different markers, and all of a sudden I turn to the left or right, and shit, you're a couple yards. So the same way I wouldn't bring out a camera to take a video of a grizzly bear or a polar bear if it's a couple yards from me, I'm not going to take out a camera when I have a dog man that close. I'm going to focus on what I'm doing, what I'm behaving, right? What it is doing, if I'm surrounded, if I'm not, if there's more dogmen around and down that I'm watching, and walking out. Um, but at nighttime, I have caught them on eye shine coming towards me multiple times.
Did you? So do you have you ever tried to use a thermal like a FLIR or anything? Do you have one?
I don't have one. One of my buddies has one. He's been to the property and he's caught eye shine, and he's caught a slight thermal image of them going, on from trees to bush.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look for me. I kind of understand where you're going on the when you pop up, they're close and they're looking at you. Because I've had people ask me, why I didn't get recordings, why I didn't try to film this or that. Well, one thing was, I didn't have time. And the other thing was when I was up close and personal with boogers, within 15, 20 yards and they're screaming at me, I was
Yeah.
worried about trying to live.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think that the average Joe who's never seen a dog man realizes that if you're in the woods and you see something that looks like a werewolf, right? You're not going to be pulling out a camera.
Yeah.
If you haven't shit and pissed yourself by then, you're probably running out.
All right. Well, let me ask you another question. I've got a lot of questions. The next question: if from what you've seen, if you've got a good look at these things, if you had to say it looked more like A, B, C, or D, have you ever seen a werewolf, dog man, something in a movie? The closest that you could compare what you've seen to, what would it be?
Mm. I'm going to say some of them, Some of the skinnier ones, I probably Dogman Soldier.
Okay, dog soldiers.
Yeah, but that's I'm referring, like I just said, probably one of your skinnier ones. They have more depth to them, but if you want to come out with a movie, some of them have that type of look to them. They're not pretty to look at unless it's Dogman Soldier. Just on the top of my head, first movie, and again, it's not all of them, but top of my head, that would be the first thing that I would pop up with.
Well, I've watched that maybe several times, and yeah, I don't want to go up there in the woods where you're at.
Don't worry. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go visit Rick, and I'm gonna take all the damn equipment, and I'm just gonna leave the equipment there and go get a hotel.
Oh, well, that's no fun. That is definitely no fun. You have to be there.
Rick, it'd be great fun. You can go with me. We'll hit downtown. We'll go to a couple bars. We'll leave the cameras and the recorders out, and if we catch something, great.
No, I don't drink. So what you gotta do is come to my house.
You're the DD.
Set up everything.
I don't drink either. We'll take Spencer and drop him off at the bar, and then the rest of us will go hang out and look for him.
You know, but you don't have to look. All I gotta do is you guys sit there playing Kumbaya with a bonfire. Set up your cameras. I give one call and I leave.
I will say this for everybody.
That's all I gotta do is leave.
I've talked to someone that knows him. He's got a thing that he does to call them. And whenever he told me about it, I was like, you're full of shit. You are the first person I've ever heard talking about calling
Dogman.
And the way that he does it is completely unconventional. I won't give the game away. But in all honesty, he's only in Tennessee. I'm going to try to go visit with him either there or maybe we'll make a trip to LBL and actually employ his method because I want to see this.
Well, go ahead.
What part of Tennessee are you from? Not part, but like east, middle, west?
West.
West Tennessee.
I am about an hour and 30 minutes south of the LBL.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in East Tennessee. That's why I was asking.
I did not need that piece of knowledge because that puts him like not very far from me.
Exactly.
It's like, come on over. I gotta tell people, come on over. I'll leave you the property. I gotta do is one phone call and leave.
Yeah, I'm not but about 3.5 hours due south of the LBL.
Okay. Concord?
No, I'm in Northwest Alabama, but I'm like due south of LBL.
I think it takes me about 7 or 8 hours to get there.
Yeah, I mean,
if Spencer comes, it's probably just a weekend trip for me. Just drive up. Hey, Spencer, we'll stay the weekend, and we just drive back on a Sunday or Monday.
Yeah. Spencer, you probably want him out to wear a pork chop necklace.
No, not if the call works. Hey,
it's always worked. So I gotta say that it's always worked. So Spencer, you better bring extra drawers.
I will. I'll bring extra damn ammo too.
Because
I'm small, but I'm quick.
You know, Misty, they always call that a skid mark in his shorts. Sometimes that's a burnout.
It would be if I ever see a damn dog, man.
Like, where did Spencer go? How the hell I know?
Trust me, I guarantee it. If he seen one, he'd be out. He wouldn't care where we was at. It wouldn't be like Bigfoot where, they don't leave no man behind. It'd be like, okay, Dogman, shit, I'm out. He wouldn't care where he was at. It'd be time to break kneecaps, wouldn't it, Spencer?
if it was me and you two, you can rest assured that I will leave. There is no doubt. I will leave.
Oh, man.
We wouldn't have to worry about Spencer, Misty. We wouldn't have to worry about taking care of him because he'd be at safety. It'd be me and you trying to find our way out.
Do you remember whenever I was trying to cross that street in Alabama and that car come around doing about 80 and then my little ass went and got across the road? That'd be me. I'd be like a booger. You'd blink and I'd be gone.
That was the fastest I've ever seen a possum move whenever he's seen that car.
Oh man.
He was like playing chicken crossing the road.
We kept telling him, hold on. He's like, I'm telling you, y'all think I'm joking. He's like a little child. It's like you got to put one of them little backpacks on him and keep him on a leash.
You are one to talk. Miss, I'll wander off in the middle of the damn woods with everybody telling you not to.
Yeah, but it's really true what they say, like possums just running out in the road like he really does.
He didn't even look both ways.
Oh my goodness.
We're going, run, Spencer.
Rick, this is bullshit. Don't listen to them.
I don't know. Like I said, all you gotta do is spend one night, just one night. That's all you gotta do is just spend one night.
I'll do it.
I'm
I've
down,
been out in
Spencer.
the
Where you going?
woods. I don't know. We'll figure
He's
it
not
out.
gonna be. He's not gonna be too far from Loretta Lynn's ranch.
What? Where's Loretta Lynn's ranch?
All right. Golly, what's his name? It just left me. And I know his name as well as I do mine. Mr. What's his name that brought us the big junk truckload of wood? You know, he lives right there.
Ronnie Tucker.
Ronnie Tucker lives due south of LBL about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, whatever. We'll work it out. We'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Get a
I haven't been to the LBL, so I'm dying to put vocalizations into the LBL to see what pops up.
Well, there are dogmen at LBL. There are definitely, I believe that there are dogmen at LBL for sure. I can't prove it. Joe and Pat's thermal, I think, is one of the clearest I've ever seen as far as the dogman thing goes. And I definitely think that's dogman that they caught on their thermal at LBL. But there are 1,000% there are boogers at LBL. Now,
and I know the northern part has Dogman because I did call it Dogman in once.
that's not the northern part.
Scared the shit out of me. So imagine you throwing your phone, your headlamp, right, and hitting the gas at the same time. Because I was traveling to Tennessee to see the property that I bought now. And so I said to myself, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go straight through the LBL. I'm going to rental. I'm going to drive straight through the LBL. Enter the LBL, silent as can be. The first thing I did, my dumbass butt, the first thing I did was, when there's no cars, I walked out the car, peed, walked back in, kept on driving. At one point, I'm like, I'm hearing clicking sounds on my left side. And I'm driving. I hear no noises whatsoever. I'm driving. I said, you know what? This is a good spot.
You can come with us too, Steve.
So I took my Bluetooth speaker, lowered the window of the car, so I put the Bluetooth speaker between the window and the dash, right? Set it there. I have my headlamp on because I'm looking towards the tree line, and I'm parked on the right side, and I'm going, south. So I'm parked on the right side. I'm looking with my headlamp towards the trees on my left side. Bluetooth there. I have my phone. I call blast 3 times. And all of a sudden, on my right rear, I hear this growl. That it sounded like it had stuck his head inside the car. Okay? My phone, my headlamp flew, and I hit the gas like a little kid that just saw a ghost. Okay? So I know they're there, and I just want to call blast while I'm camping there. That's all I want to do. I just want to call blast while I'm just camping there.
Okay. Well, we're going to take you to some places, and you can call blast while you're out there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
You ain't going to do it
I
while
don't
we're
know that you
camping.
have to. It echoes so good throughout there. You probably wouldn't even have to. I know one night we were there. me, Centria, and Mark and Sherry. She had brought the dog with her or whatever. And that's where we was all at. And just us four went out that night. And I called in a bunch of coyotes like straight to the vehicle. And so we left. And the next place we went to, as soon as I got out, something come just barreling off the side of the daggone hill at me. And she got her dog out. Sherry did. She was actually getting the dog out, and because I was the only one out at first, and I guess the dog slid, and it kind of like made a noise on the rubber getting out, and whatever it was stopped, and it's like it went, and then it just turned around and just ran back off. Now we found heat signatures when Mark got out with the thermal on the ground, but there was nothing else there. That was scary. That was probably the first time I've ever had that happen, and the coyotes come in before that. So I don't know. It was just weird. I don't like doing that and being by myself and worrying about stuff damn coming at me. There's somebody. Fate.
Not even, my last words will be, shit, that didn't work.
Well,
but I'm down for it. You let me know where to be.
We'll set it up. We'll do it. That'll be good times anyway. It's about time I go back to LBL. It's been over a year and a half or so.
That'd be
okay.
Well, guys, we are well over 2 hours. Rick, thank you for doing the show very much. Appreciate it. And maybe if you're willing, if people have more questions and everything, maybe we can get you back on again at some point, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well,
yeah, that was awesome. It was nice to meet you.
Same here.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man.
Don't lie to her. Don't lie to her. All right.
Call me, Spencer.
I will. Hey, by the way, check what I text you about the guy in Ohio.
All right.
Anyway, y'all, appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you, all the moderators and everybody being in chat. And we'll catch you next week, unless they have a show planned that I don't know about.
Do you have a channel or a Facebook page group or anything like that?
I have a TikTok that I started posting, but I'm not into I don't post every day just because I just get tired of social media. But if anybody needs help or anything when it comes to Dogman, you can probably just email me, Spencer. I don't know if you can type that up there.
Yeah, I can put your email. Well, yeah. I can include it I'll include the email in the description of the show.
Okay.
I'll tell you something else that would be great, Spencer. If he would join our Woodwalkers Facebook group.
Yeah, I haven't asked him, but he gets tired of the social media. But Rick, I'll get with you on that. And then if you want to jump on the Facebook page, most all the people that are in chat, they can ask you questions and stuff on the Facebook page, and
right.
that might be an easier way to communicate than via email. But
okay.
It's kind of a private page, so it's not like going out to everybody on the planet.
Yeah, and by the way, everybody, for the 10,000th time, please, with all due respect, if you don't answer the questions, you're not getting in the Facebook page. You have to answer every single day. 6 people have to be turned away because they don't answer the question. If you don't answer the questions, I don't think you're a real person.
I don't even look a lot of times at the names, the info, anything. I just look straight at the bottom. If the questions have been answered, if it says that none of them have, I just decline them because it's like you said, it's every day. So, and it's bots and things doing it.
And you can even make it good, funny, crazy answers. We don't care. We make chuckle better. So, hey, answer.
Don't do any more shows without telling me. Oh, well.
I think it was
everybody on this channel would not have enjoyed that show. It was more about barbecue. But anyway, all right, y'all.
That was a really good show.
Okay,
yep.
Thank you.
It was.
Love
It was a
y'all.
really good show.
I enjoyed y'all being there because I didn't know anybody in their chat or the hosts or anything. So it was nice to have my family there as
Even
backup.
though it was mean. I know.
I did appreciate it. I know. You're the same assholes even on other people's channels.
Hey, look, that's the way it is.
That's what family's about.
Anyway, that's a good question, Hillary. You should direct that towards Misty.
Look, I don't know. Probably not tonight. I have no idea. I've been like laid up all weekend and I'm still feeling pretty rough. I put down that we was having a show in February today.
Anyway, thank you guys. Rick, thank you very much. Y'all. See you next time.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Big love, everybody.
All right.
See y'all.
See you
Thanks,
guys.
Rick.
Thank you.
On the computer, you have to hit okay. Anyway, just turn me on, turn me up, and turn me loose.